Hey, my young gal here. Welcome to the Coffee Talkie Show, the podcast for women living abroad. Today we have a special guest with us, Hannah. Together we will discuss the pressure of wanting to speak a new language perfectly after relocating and how embracing imperfections and mistakes can actually serve us better.
But first, let us introduce you to our guest. Anna Murcott is a market consumer insight specialist, originally from London, who moved to Lyon in France a couple of years ago. When she first arrived, she did some waitressing to learn French, and it was also an opportunity to take a career break. Later on, as she wanted to work in her field, she realized that the language barrier and the pressure she added to it made it hard to find a job in Lyon. So she grabbed her thing and relocated to, believe it or not, Paris, where she was actually able to work with French colleagues, but in English as well. A couple of months ago, she and her fiancé moved once again to Lyon, this time ready to face the French life and embrace her language imperfections and mistakes. And let us tell you this, she's rocking this. Plus, Anna is one of our closest friends, and we're thrilled to have her here with us today.
So we invite you to grab your coffee and notebook and give a big loving welcome to Hannah.
Hi Anna, thank you so much for being here with us. This is such a pleasure to having you.
Thank you very much for having me join.
We'll start right in. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal experience with moving abroad and how you approach language learning?
Okay, I think every experience is quite unique, and I think it all comes from your motivation, first of all, why you decided to move abroad. And my motivation really stemmed from when I was at uni. I did a year in Montpellier for like the Erasmus, fell in love with France, the lifestyle, the architecture. And so it was always sort of like, I'll end up there again. I'll come back somewhere in France. So I got to about 30 and I loved living in London. It was amazing. But I felt that I was repeating my 20s. So I thought, right, now's the time. I've got nothing tying me, no responsibilities. So if I'm going to do it, I need to do it now. So moving to France, obviously you start in the honeymoon phase, and it's, obviously being a student abroad is very different to living abroad. And I moved to Lyon. It wasn't, it was international. There's an expat community which has grown exceptionally in the past since COVID. But when I moved here, it was a very small expat community. And it was amazing, very exciting. It was April, summer was coming. And I decided to be a waitress to learn the language. Bit classic there. I also had a French boyfriend, another classic. I was such a cliche. But it was very, very important for everybody to know that wasn't my reason for moving abroad. I had to pull that out in every introductory conversation. And they'd say, "Oh, do you have a French boyfriend?" "Yes, but that's not why I came." I was like, they must know I'm my own woman. And it was great. It really helped. Definitely working at the restaurant. I worked at this little cafe at the top. So in Lyon, there's Croix-Rousse, and it's just right at the top. And it's wonderful. I could see Mont Blanc on a really clear day, beautiful. But the realities of moving abroad started to creep in. Administration, the famous bureaucracy here, that is just an experience in itself. I feel like if you can, that's almost your first test in France, is if you can withstand the bureaucracy and just keep fighting through, you can withstand anything. Like you're cool with any challenge life throws at you. So that was sort of like then the curve of the reality of moving to a country, setting up banks. You need an address to set up a bank, but you need to get the address. How do you get an address if you don't have an address? So it's all these sorts of things. And they're really like, ugh. And then there's also the realities of I don't speak the language. I thought I did. I thought I had a basic level when I moved here. And then I'm around French people, and it's not a je voudrais un croissant. The reality is they don't bother saying that. They've got this whole what feels like an entire language when you arrive, and I have to say it did then start to affect my confidence. Of having a French boyfriend in many ways is kind of cool because it gets your foot in the door with meeting other French people, because that was a learning in itself. Coming from an Anglo-Saxon community, and like I think Anglo-Saxons, not to say that we're better, not to say that we're friendlier, but you can walk into a room of strangers and somebody will speak to you. There is that sort of, to be honest, it just makes us uncomfortable to not do that. That's really what sort of the driving factor behind it is. We just feel very awkward. So we talk out of awkwardness. And then I'm sort of in this environment where people were nice, they were friendly, but it wasn't as easy to make friends. It wasn't as easy to strike a conversation. I learned from a young age humor as a way to make friends, as a defense thing, an all sorts of an identity thing. Suddenly, I felt stripped of my identity, and then also, a lot of the English, we have this sort of, or the English or French, there's a friction. And reality, it's a bit of banter now. It's all jokes and everything. But when you hear this time and time again, you then become very consciousness of your Englishness. Don't be too English. Don't be too this. Don't be too that. And the problem is, you then stop talking. And you're only going to learn if you're talking, if you are making those mistakes, if you're thinking too much what people think about you, you don't try. So that was my, I'd say my first mistake. Also, if I felt I lost my identity through language, through finding it difficult to find a job in my career, finding it hard to make friends, that was I think one of the biggest hurdles. And language is obviously fundamentally quite a core aspect of that. So moving to Paris, because moving to Paris was a big thing for me. It made me take a step back, start again, have a different look on things, accepting not everyone has to like you, not everyone is going to like you. Do not have a deadline to learn the language. So I just took classes. I put myself in uncomfortable positions. I applied to companies where I could work in English, but I had French colleagues. So I was surrounded by people talking around me, which did make me feel a little bit like, that Tom Hanks film, when he's stuck in an airport. I felt like that, just hanging around this office, like eating an apple, like. And then also there was the challenges of COVID happened, and I was sort of then in isolation for 2 years. No one to speak to except my dog and Tomer, and conversation runs dry after a little bit, So that was a little bit of a pitfall. But we recently have moved back to Lyon. And I think I sort of had a word with myself when I moved back, and I was like, right, just try. And if that person doesn't like you or doesn't take to you when you start talking, that's fine. That happens, and move on. But at some point, somebody is going to open the door for you, and they're going to welcome you in. I joined clubs. I've recently gone to this knitting club that's just all French people, and craft events. And because I thought about, okay, well, who are sociable people? They tend to be people who go to sporting things, sociable sports. Creative people tend to be quite chatty. So I went to creative events, and I just thought about it. Okay, where are they going to hang out? Where are these people who are going to hang out? And, expat communities often have French people who want to have lived abroad and want to keep that connection with the expat community. So then, okay, I will make friends with those people and go to those other events that they're going to. And so by doing that, I've slowly built up this, whilst keeping my expat community. I've done that, and obviously continuing with my French classes. And last night we went to a comedy club, so that was an experience in itself. Not a clue what was going on, but I laughed at the right times and nodded when they looked at me just to show my support. And they were like, my French teacher was like, "How's it going? Do you understand?" I was like, "Not a word, but it's great." She's loving it over there. And I was this lady like ripping herself laughing, and I was like, she's my entertainment. So yeah, baby steps, classes, and lots of bumps.
That's great. You shared so many ways to deal with challenges of learning a new language, and I want to go a little bit back with you to the mistakes you made while trying to learn French. So you mentioned one mistake, to not talk at all. So that will be one thing that is not recommended to do. But did you do any other mistakes while trying to learn a new language and being, surrounded with French people?
Yeah, I overthought it. Two things. I was too harsh on myself. So I had this idea when I arrived. Okay, don't surround yourself with expats because you'll never learn. But I went to the extreme. I sort of just threw myself in the event because, everyone thinks, oh, if you just turn up and you're immersed on it, or you'll just pick it up. Well, it's just code when you arrive. It's just like, I don't know. It's like listening to Klingon. You're like, not a clue what is going on. You're looking for those subtitles as they talk and just hope for it. So I think what I should have gone more in baby steps, and being kinder to myself, and not put so much pressure on myself to to get it straight away. Other things is just accepting sometimes not everybody's a linguist. I don't think I'm a linguist. I don't think that's my strength at all. At all. So I think that was my first mistake. I didn't expect, I think I then went too far the other way. And because I felt so nervous and uncomfortable, and I lost confidence in myself, and I was having this identity crisis because it's funny. I did a sort of, God, who's Hannah? Like, who's Hannah right now? So I was going through this, and then I thought, right, well, okay, I need to be around people who get me. And so, it's. I mean, the realities in life, it's our values that connect us, not languages. And I mean, and I've got friends from all over the world. So it's not that, but I was going through this sort of period. So I went too far the other way. And then I didn't step out into, and I had this almost like, okay, this is me and this is the French, and there's this big patch of water between us. And then I let my sort of, I went very defensive, and it was almost like, well, I can't make friends. They don't want to be friends with me because, well, they've got their friends already. So why would they make friends with me? So then I didn't try. So it just went from one extreme to the other. And I think the big learning from that is be kind to yourself, and it's baby steps, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's just not.
I love that you shared that because it touched upon two important things. One is um, not being too hard on ourselves, being kinder to ourselves, and understanding that it's a journey and we need to be patient. It doesn't happen just like that. We need to make some progress, and it's a baby step journey. But the other thing that you said is about like who you are, and that's something we talk a lot here on Smoothitative, is about being yourself, being true to your values, being true to your desires, understanding why you've done all of this. Why are you coming abroad? When you know who you are and when you feel confident and strong, then those obvious challenges, which are language barrier is an obvious challenge for any expat, that it's a little bit easier to deal with because you don't put on yourself an additional pressure of, okay, well, because you know you can do this. Like you have the confidence, you are resilient enough to actually keep on going, and understanding that it's not that they hate you as a person, is that like you go, maybe you didn't connect, well, you go and talk with someone else, and the connection through values and similarities, and whether it's your creative approach or sports events or things like that, then they create connections that are bigger than which language are we speaking.
Yeah. And also, I think just it's, also not being afraid to make a fool of yourself. Like, just laugh at yourself, or just don't feel like worrying too much what people say, and find, what, if you find humor in things, humor connects us, like regardless of our language, like it does, it does connect us. And I think completely agree with what you're saying about just knowing who you are. And actually, we all evolve. Like, I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, and thank God. Like, just thanks the Lord. Many steps have been taken, but that's cool. And this journey has made me so much more resilient, and actually made me so much more in tune with who I am, because I feel like if you're going to find your identity in a new country, first of all, figure out who you are today, not who you were when you were in your own country. Figure out who you are today, what you enjoy, and how to add happiness to each of your days. Do something out of enjoyment, not just because you have to do it. If you fill your day with doing things you have to's and shoulds and shoulds and shoulds, you're going to be a miserable person. So, and if that's eating crisps and watching Friends in English, then you just knock yourself out.
Sounds good for a while. Oh, it can work.
Yes, definitely. And you mentioned a couple of times humor as something that is it comes very natural to you. You have it within you. We see it is also here on this episode. Can you share with us any funny or moment that you had, maybe a mistake that you made that really made you laugh, or that you approached it in a very humorous way as part of your experience abroad?
Blimey, there's been so many. Just the mistakes really that I've made. A couple spring to mind is I called my soon-to-be father-in-law a cockhold, just because I mispronounced cuckoo. So I go in cuckoo, and on the phone as well. So there was no context. I just offended the man. So without nothing else, and thank God he had a sense of humour, because he was chuckling away. And Thomas was like, "No, it's a cuckoo. You've got to get the tone right, Han. Like you got to practice that." So there was that, and then we played. We went to play golf. I don't play golf, but I'm quite happy to just go on the driving range and just hit some balls. I'm pretty useless at that as well, but I give it a bash. So we went like as it was around the confinement, but we in that weird phase we were sort of in it, but we sort of weren't. So everyone was going to parks and the outdoors. Yeah. So it was that phase, and we went to a golf course, and we're on the driving range, and I got so excited because I whacked this ball, and I was like, yeah, and I went to, and I essentially said in French, I'm slapping the balls like that, and like instead of hit the balls, I was like, I slapped the balls, and and Thomas' friends kind of looked at me and went, all right, and he's like, no, my love, it's to frapper les balls. Okay. So I was like, oh, it's about it, it's fine. But yeah, you just have to just like laugh at your mistakes. You just have to. And also it's the charm, I think, of learning another language. It's for a while, I remember one morning, just on the other side of it, Thomas, he woke up and he meant to say, you were snoring last night. But he said, my love, you were snorkeling last night. And so it's just like, was I? Jesus, that was an active dream. Jesus. And so you just have to laugh at these little things that's just in the darkness of the morning. I was snorkeling apparently.
That's so much better than snoring,
It is
much more peaceful, I think.
much more peaceful, exactly.
I was just about to ask you, did you make any mistake with language? that you can think of?
For sure. I made so many. I don't have something on top of my head right now. But my husband went. He doesn't speak French, at all, and he went to the supermarket and he wanted to ask for shrimps, but he wanted the small ones, the gray ones, so crevette grise, and he asked for crevette verte. I don't know why the green one came to his head, and my daughter was, Dad, it's not green. It's supposed to be gray. And she was so embarrassed. And you're like, what's the problem? I don't see, like, what mistake.
It's a colour. Damn it. Take it and help me.
I will share with you one of my biggest one, and I know
Yours is great.
it's a great one. So, as an Israeli in the summer, we love iced coffee, proper like Americano with tons of ice. And when I arrived to France, this is something that doesn't exist in most French coffee places. They don't do that. So I learned that the best way to do it is to actually order a cup of coffee and a glass with ice cubes. And I will just pour it to myself. And for me, it was very normal. So, to give you the context of it, I said, can I have a glass of glass? Because in French, I was like, both language combined, and the waiter looked at me and was like, what? And
Because in French, glass is ice cream. Like
I was like, and I was like, what? And he looked at me and I was like, what's not clear? Like I said it, but it's just that I mixed the two languages.
I love this. How are you not understanding me, damn it? Figure it out.
What is not clear about that? A glass with a glass. Sounds
we
normal,
do
but
mix a lot of
yes.
languages. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
we
happens,
always
so.
mix languages. This is something that happens so many, like it happens to me so
Yeah.
much. And also like one time, because in English, for example, we use the word excited. When you're very happy about something, you say, I'm really excited about this, or this is exciting and stuff like that. But in French, you don't use it. Excité
It
means
means
turn
aroused.
aroused. And I remember one time translating a text and posting it on social media, and my friend was like, apparently this made you really happy.
just, just declaring it to the world. God, that was hot.
I was kind of turned on when I wrote this. So those mistakes, and I think you said it perfectly about when you understand that it's a natural part to make mistakes. If you're able to laugh at yourself and others with regard to it, it makes the journey so much nicer.
Oh yeah, and other people love it as well. I mean, how many times is someone, speaking, trying to learn language, and you hear their lovely accent, and they make a mistake, and it's cute, and it's kind of like you chuckle. You're not really laughing at them. You're laughing because I mean, it's hilarious because you picture it, and but at the same time, they've got this nice accent, and they're trying, and so it kind of feel like it can like unite you a little bit, but. No, I've been saying that for a long time before Tom had corrected me. I've just been going, gosh, I'm really horny for this weekend that's coming up, a constant for a while. I don't know why nobody like corrected me for a long time. It was just like, God, she is on fire. Like,
Yes. So
So it can be really funny, but it's also sometimes so frustrating, and it's disappointing, sometimes it takes much longer than you thought it will take. And we need to stay motivated and keep on going and keep on learning. So you mentioned that you're taking French classes still. And what keeps you motivated to keep on learning and to get better, even though it's taking more time, can be disappointing, really funny sometimes, but
frustrating, yeah, and I also the fact of sometimes it feels like you take one step forward, two steps back. So sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm feeling really supposed to feel very natural, and it's really rolling, and then other days you just it's just not there. And I think sometimes depends on the day, and then that can affect obviously the frustration. I've joined my group now is so I had one-to-one sessions, which was really helpful. And a lot of companies, if you work for these international companies, there's the bonus of they'll have, they'll support you with getting a teacher. So I advise anyone to jump on that, because actually one-to-one, sometimes you progress very quickly, but it's not always an option for everybody because it's quite expensive. As I say, I was a waitress for a while. So during that period, I did a lot of grammar practice books, or I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I use the expat community, who a lot of them will let you know about, new little initiatives that are sometimes a bit cheaper, because it's like, I don't know, someone setting up their own little organization. So that was great. My group right now is more conversational. So it's you just go and they'll pick a subject, or they'll go, okay, today we're playing a game, and so you have to like do these games where you're explaining certain things and they'll just correct you. And language exchange classes are also great. Just going for these drinks, they're nice because you're just a very natural environment, and you can, a bit of alcohol sort of helps people open up a bit. That's helpful. So I that's what I'm doing now. And but yeah, at least I'm still not perfect. But one of the motivating things for me is actually when I go on evenings out with, and I'm in a room with French people and they're having a great time. And I feel like the French are very community. They're quite, they've got these good sort of ways of throwing soirees and constantly keeping in contact, with each other. And I love that. I feel like rather than going off into these little bubbles, they, keep their communities. And then just seeing them having a great time and thinking, I want to be involved. I want to know what they're joking about. So that sort of like pushes me, because I think I want to be Hannah in French, and I want to grow. And, the reality is, if you want the longevity of a good lifestyle in another country, you have to learn the language. And it's the long and short of it, unfortunately. But yeah, so that's my motivating factor.
I think that's a good motivation. If you want to have a good life in the place you're living, you gotta learn the language, and the social life is very important in order to have a good life. So
Yes, that's definitely. So, what advice would you give to other women who are facing similar challenges regarding language?
So first thing I'd say, just give yourself a break. You don't need to be, and maybe you're probably going to tell me off for saying this, I'm sorry. You don't have to be reading Shakespeare in French and watching all these films in French with French subtitles and spending your life putting yourself in these difficult situations. Some people may enjoy that and they may do very well in that. Others, sometimes you can get tired. It's tiring, all this stuff you have to do. So first of all, be kind to yourself. Figure out what works for you. Try different things. Find what works for you. Some people love reading. I do read, but I like watching French series. I think I'm a sociable person, so going to certain events and just being around other sociable people, I like that. So first thing, yeah, be kind to yourself. Find out what works for you. Just because it works for your friend doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily be the right thing for you. So just try different things. Take time for yourself, and to let your brain recuperate, and just sometimes have a day in your own language. Just have that time in your own language to just relax. If you're happy and you relax, you're more likely to absorb this language than if you're stressed and tired. It's just not going to go in. And then take the timeline off of it. We put these mental timelines in. We also measure ourselves against other people. Stop doing that. Because this other person, their story and their journey to learning another language is different to yours. They may have been exposed to French a lot more. They may be more of a linguist than you, so they more naturally pick it up. They may have had more lessons than you. So Don't measure yourself to other people. Stop putting benchmarks and just say, this is my journey, my story. And so long as you're putting the effort in, it will come together eventually.
Oh, that's so true. Those are amazing advices. And I really love the one that you said about being relaxed and not stressed about it, because nothing good can come when you're stressed. And I remember when we just came to France, my oldest daughter, she didn't know French and she had to go to school. So I took some private lessons for her. And she was so stressed that she cried for an hour and nothing could, good can come from this. But then when she went to school, so she found some friends and they played together. And while playing, and socializing, she had fun. So she learned French like in 2 months. She was speaking, writing, and reading in French. And it was amazing. And I had this exact same experience as a kid. While playing, it's so much more fun to do so. And with adults, it can be the same. You can learn while having fun, while doing things that you really like, watching some TV shows, if you find any good ones, in the language, the local language, or, playing, you mentioned before, or some groups, where you can do things that you really love doing instead of just sitting in a class and doing grammar, because that's not fun at all.
And I want to add to this for those of you listening to us that are only like planning their move abroad and you're putting a lot of pressure onto, ooh, but I don't speak the language yet. So can I move to the Netherlands? Can I move to Italy? Can I move to France if I don't speak fluently yet? The answer is yes. Because once you will go there, true, you will make mistakes. True, it will be like challenging at times. If you take it from a compassionate way, some self laughter, and willingness to just immerse yourself in the situation, put yourself in places where you hear the language, where you will have to speak, then you will learn way quicker than from all those apps, classes, TV shows, everything. Like, you need sometimes to put yourself deep into the water and then you learn. So, and it will take time. I go back, be patient with yourself. It doesn't come like this to everyone. Even if you are a very linguistic person, it still takes time. So don't be too hard on yourself with regard to that.
No, totally. And before I moved here, I did do a course in French. I did join this group. But I think if you're asking your brain to take in something else, I feel like your brain needs to have a necessity for it. And sometimes that's why I think when you do these courses before you come, it feels like when you arrive, blimey, I thought I was better than this. But actually, when you're there, oh, suddenly I've got this need. I need to learn this language. So then you're more open to absorbing it, I think. And I think also it's you're going to go through these chapters. It's not going to be flat when it happened. And something that others might experience that I felt and was this element of this nationalism came over me. Really, really weird. I never had it when I lived in England. So but suddenly I was like, but again, it's all part of finding your identity, and you sort of feeling this weird. But I moved to France. I'm learning their language. I'm getting a job here. Am I losing an essence of myself? So you kind of weirdly hold on to your language in this weird way. And I think it's just go with it. You're not losing yourself. You're adapting. You're growing. You're growing this other side. And you know what? Having a second language is a wonderful thing. And finally, I think if you are struggling, go and be in the culture, go to a bar, go to a comedy show, go to a music event, go and see the culture enjoying themselves. And just think, if you work hard at this bit by bit, you will be, like you'll really enjoy where you're living. Last night, okay, I had not a clue what on earth they were talking about, even though it was hilarious, apparently. I mean, the last one was brilliant, I have to say. And I did, for some reason, my head was like, oh, I kind of understand him. But like, it was like, this is great. Let's keep going like this. But I think what I was doing, I sat there and I looked around and I was like, this is so cool. I'm in a different country. This is another language. This is a different culture. And I have the luck to live in a different country, because at heart, it is lucky that you get to experience living in a different country. Not everybody has that experience. And to get bogged down by, oh my God, I've got all this stuff to do. Just remember, sometimes, when we focus on the negative, I don't know about you, but I look down and I look at the floor and I'm running over all this stuff I have to do. And then sometimes I say to myself, okay, take a minute and look up and just look around you. Look at this beautiful architecture. Look at this sunshine. Look at all the cute French things that are around you, the little boulangerie and, the bicycles. And even when we've got these crazy, the manifestations de crève, just the Frenchness of it, of those police with these shields, and then this man with a bicycle just goes through like, I don't care, this is completely normal here, enjoy it and enjoy where you're living. And that language will come, it will come, and it's going to open so many doors and you're going to meet so many lovely people. But it will just have the faith that it will eventually come.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for saying this. And just before we end, I want to ask you the question that we ask all our guests on the podcast here is, what does a smooth and positive life abroad means to you?
Positivity, your mindset, I think, has to be fundamentally. Have the right mindset. I have gone through the moments where I've not had the right mindset. I've been negative. Everything seemed like everything was going wrong and it was a sign that I needed to go home. It's not. That's life. Just change your view on things. They're learning curves. They're going to be funny at some point that this happened. So I think positivity, mindset, get involved, get out there, get involved in cultural things. Remind yourself why you're moving there. You will have moments of, the grass is always greener on the other side. It always is. But there was a reason why you left your country. There was a reason why you went there, and just keep reminding yourself of that. So I think just taking each day as it comes, be as prepared as you can. Like, try and take some courses, try and do some preparation, but try and just enjoy each day. And those days aren't easy, just sit on the sofa and eat some food and you'll be fine. That's my way to get some crisps. It's fine.
Crisps, that's so
British.
It is. There and I was just sat there going, God damn it, if I had some dairy milk, this would be so fine right now. But yeah, just be kind to yourself. Just get rid of the pressure and it will come. Just not overnight.
I love that. Anna, thank you so much for this amazing content. I'm sure that our listeners really enjoyed it as well.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me. It's been lovely.
Thank you, Anna, for being here with us today. And thank you for joining us on the Coffee Talkie Show, the podcast for women living abroad. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained valuable insights, tips, and inspiration for your journey as an expat.
If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to reach out to us via our website or social media. And if you love what you heard today, please like, follow, and leave us a rating and a review on your favorite podcast platform. And until next time, sending you positive vibes your way.